The continuation of Tuesday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch, and unfortunately not YouTube. Grant Gills had no luck at all getting YouTube up and firing on a Tuesday night. It is rare. It's probably because it is a Tuesday night, quite frankly. It's used to having the night off. Nice to have you along for the ride wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world, on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Night 2 of week 9 of term 4 for 2023, and we zero in on, for not the first time this season, the streets of Detroit, Michigan, the Belle Isle Grand Prix circuit, and what a night it should be for the penultimate round of the Civil War. And it was, of course, going to be Trent Lavis against John Merritt on the front row here. I don't have the championship standings. I'm hoping you do, Grant. The championship standings for GT1, but this is the Civil War, and this is how it looks at the moment. John Merritt on top by 33 points over Simon Cox, who is on this grid tonight, boxed in down in 6th place. Rob Hill and also Paul Rogers, Wayne Hewitt making up the top 6 in the championship, and Adam Lavis and Pete Matson. Then Tristan Koch and Alan Holgerson. Now, it's interesting to note, 31 points separates first and third, and then you've got 22 points between third and fourth, but between fourth and sixth is just 3 points at the moment. So that is hanging on a knife edge. Could go either way. Could swing in. Could fluctuate in swings and roundabouts throughout the course of the next 2 weeks. Of course, they've got a week off next week. They'll come back and run their grand final in a fortnight's time. Whilst we're already on Christmas holidays. And good luck to them with that, I must admit. Fancy getting all hyped up for the off season and realising that the second night of the off season, you're back on deck, back doing work, back at the task at hand. We're enjoying it. We hope you are as well. These are the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Belle Isle, Michigan. Yes. And this is 3.76 kilometres, and it's a great little circuit. Fraught with danger. It is a concrete canyon. We have seen quite a few fall victim of the walls around here over the years. It's a 35-minute race. It's 8:30 in the morning. It's the generic racing date for Northern Hemisphere servers, May 15, 2023. 8:39 in the morning, and we're heading for 26 degrees. The ambient temperature, 28 on track. The humidity will play a little bit of a factor here, 54%. And we are getting ready to rock and roll. Let's have a look at the grid. They'll be lining up ready for a start here any tick of the clock. Trent Lavis, John Merritt, the front row. Rolling start. Not a huge time to form the grid up here. It's only at the exit of turn 12 there as they come around to 13 and 14 and onto the main straight. So it's a very short formation lap here for this field. Trent Lavis, John Merritt at the front row. Alan Holgerson, Wayne Hewitt the second row. Adam Lavis, Paul Rogers the third. Simon Cox and Jared Knight the fourth. Rob Hill and Robert McGrath from row 5. Tristan Koch, Pete Matson and Aidan Schultz will make up the field. We are ready to go after a 25-minute qualifying session for 35 minutes of racing here. Tuesday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club. Penultimate outing of 2023. Hey, can you believe it? 2023 has just been gone, come and went in the blink of an eye, Grant.
I know.
I mean, for me, it's been a little bit disjointed with a couple of interstate trips, one extended one for 7 weeks, then back up here. I wasn't complaining about being down there for 7 weeks either in New South Wales at just the start of the right time of the year in progressive civilization. I don't think I've got progressive civilization ticked off your bingo card yet. Now I have. There you go. You're welcome. Just got to get in a swap about some politicians in a minute. Actually, yeah. Can we just talk about, just as we get ready for the cars to line up here, what an absolute disgrace that was in Las Vegas the other morning, with the spectators being evicted before practice session 2 got underway. Like, it reeked of the same insincerity. It was almost as though Daniel Andrews had taken charge momentarily, right? Well, yeah. I mean, in the sense that, I mean, day 5 of the Australian Open of 2021, which had already been delayed by 3 weeks, courtesy of Andrews and his COVID politics. All of a sudden, you got spectators being evicted because Andrews had enforced a lockdown, and everybody had to be home before the 12 a.m. curfew and home detention commenced.
All right, that'll do it. Here we go.
Gracious me, it was a disgrace. Anyway, ready to rock and roll. The GT1 Civil War on the streets of Detroit. Let's go to work. Trent Lavis, John Merritt, cleanly away. Merritt couldn't get away by Lavis, tucked in behind, followed him to turn 1. Hewitt and Holgerson side by side through 2. Holgerson will have inside running as they head down towards turn 3, but can he stay there? No, he can't. Hewitt moves across to hold sway. And now look at Adam Lavis down on the inside of Paul Rogers, but balked by Holgerson. Can't find a way by. Oh, trouble. Trouble. Jared Knight's dropped down to 9th place. Paul Rogers down to 8th. Paul Rogers the one that came unstuck, and Lavis gets through. Goes up into 5th place. No. Oh, more trouble. They've gone everywhere. Cars in the wall. Left, right, and centre. There's been a couple of incidents here. We'll need to try and pick them apart.
Yeah.
Have a look at them. Holgerson, Schultz, McGrath, Cox, they're all caught up. And of particular importance, Robert McGrath's on the tie rope and Simon Cox down 5 spots on the opening lap, and Holgerson as well. And when you look at the championship and the standings that we saw on our screen there a few moments ago, we knew how important tonight was for John Merritt in relation to Simon Cox. Well, that's given Hot Lap a tremendous leg up off the start here.
Depending on drop points, of course, you've always got to remember that one. But let's see if we can unpick a little bit of this. First one showing up is Alan Holgerson. In the blue car, is he? He's just lost it on the way in, and everyone else will be impacted by that. Adam Lavis smacks the wall. A couple of others come around. There's a biggie, and then there's no way through from there.
No, Pete Matson actually very lucky that the path had cleared for him on the way through. And already at the end of the opening lap, Robert McGrath's parked up out of business. Simon Cox has been on pit road for 51 seconds and got back out again. Tristan Koch is persevering with a wounded car. We're 2 minutes in. Trent Lavis the leader, and he's got quarter of a lap on Tristan Koch now. Simon Cox opted to start. Like, can we have a look at Simon Cox, please, Grant? I think he might have opted to start from pit lane.
There was someone
because he didn't go to pit lane that time around. He can't have. He's not far enough behind Lavis to have gone down pit lane and stayed there for 51 seconds.
Yep.
There's Simon Cox starting from pit lane. Yep. So yes, he is down 3 positions, but he didn't actually get caught up in that garbage.
No, you just see him in the background.
He's done himself. He's done himself no harm whatsoever because he's avoided the mischief.
Yep.
But it still has championship implications in relation to John Merritt because of how far down and how far behind Merritt he is at the moment, and that's about 20 seconds.
But we know around this track anything could happen, and often does, as they like to say. Jared Knight having a good battle here with Paul Rogers. He's got by Rogers, and now he's right on the back of Adam Lavis, and we know how competitive Jared Knight is. You won't be able to hear it, Zach, but the people at home, the difference in engine note between the Aston Martin DB1, Lavis has had a moment by the looks of it. I'll go back to that in a moment. But then the Corvette just growls away like an angry old man or something. But Trent Lavis has dropped back into 3rd, so let's see if we can pick that up within what was going on. Hayden Schultz had a moment and jumped to pit, so I think he might have thought that'll do me. This may well just be not getting it turned into the corner. Oh, locked up on the change of asphalt to concrete. Bides his moment, and off he goes. So John Merritt leads the race from Wayne Hewitt, and then Trent Lavis after that. It's a bit like
Trent Lavis in 3rd place now. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it, Grant, to see how he overcomes that deficit that he's created for himself here. It's 5 seconds to Merritt, and it's 3 to Wayne Hewitt. Merritt the leader, Hewitt top of shot. Lavis will come into view there at the very top of shot just as Merritt was crossing into turn 14 to the start-finish line, and Lavis into the lane. Now, it'll be interesting to see, with this only being a 35-minute race, what that pit lane threshold is. Can he top up here and get home, or has he made a rod for his own back?
I'm not a big follower of the real-world V8s, the Aussie V8s featuring the American Camaro and Corvette and the American Mustang, but I believe they've both got different engine notes as well, so a little bit like these guys, one squealing and one growling. Oh, Holgerson's had a moment there.
Oh.
Hewitt has had a moment in the wall.
Hewitt, yep. And, well, thankfully he's got a bit of a buffer to play with there. Jared Knight's nowhere in the near vicinity. Robert Hill, Adam Lavis, Paul Rogers will be invited to keep an eye on here as well, Grant, as they make their way down the back straight again into that dogleg section of the circuit that encompasses turns 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And there's Lavis. So Jared Knight's got 1 second on Rob Hill. Lavis has half a second on Adam Lavis, and Adam Lavis has half a second on Paul Rogers. At this point, so far, Simon Cox has been to pit lane, but we know he's got a second invoice coming by virtue of the fact that he started pit lane. And Trent Lavis will watch that with interest to see if he can get home from there or not. We've already had 2 retirements, namely our good colleague and mate Aidan Schultz and also Robert McGrath. So we're down to 11. So what they lack in quantity, hopefully they'll make up for in quality on the streets of Detroit tonight as Rob Hill makes his way to pit lane at the end of lap 4. We're on to lap 5. John Merritt's the leader, and he's leading to the tune of 4 seconds at the moment. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Trent Lavis, 1:25.090.
I'm thinking that it's very much a one-stop race by the fact that we've had a number of guys come in and head out again. So again, this is new territory for Zach and I. We don't see much of the Tuesday night racing, but I'm pretty sure it's a fuel-limited event.
Lock, stock and barrel standard procedure across our board, I would imagine, Grant. Yeah.
Simon Cox up to 8th place and closing in on the back of Alan Holgerson. We saw Alan have that big moment early on. Alan Lavis and Paul Rogers, the 2 closest on the track for the time being. A fixed setup, so Trent Lavis was saying they're very tightly sprung, and they'll all be off to the dentist after this to get their fillings checked and all the chips that they've taken out as these things bounce along. Very, very bumpy track, as anyone who's ever run around there or run along a concrete road like the old Pacific Highway used to be before they widened it and asphalted it. It was you get that consistent like a train running along, but very bumpy, and you keep your eyes on stalks as you get around there. And the big long back straight along the river, oh, that looked a little wide for Rogers as he went through there. The big long back straight is very, very white concrete, and when the sun's setting in the afternoon, it gets very, very bright on the monitor and in the goggles. So 28 degrees, we are 10 to 9 in the morning, so it's very much a morning, as you mentioned earlier on. Sun travelling at regular speed, 0 wind, or 3 km/h wind from the north. 26 and 28 track temperature, and we're 8:25 in the 35.
So far, so good. Oh, Adam Lavis under pressure from Alan Holgerson, if you don't mind. Oh, sorry. No. Trent Lavis under pressure from Alan Holgerson.
He's just got by him, as did Cox.
Yep, and not Adam Lavis, Trent Lavis. I need to reiterate that. I'm not used to having both of them in the same server anymore, Grant. It very rarely happens these days.
That's right.
So Coxie and Lavis have both had a transit of the lane. Coxie at the start of the race, and there into the lane comes Simon Cox now. So that's his second stop. That'll be the top up. Remembering he started pit lane, so we didn't think he was going to be able to get home on that. Be interesting to see what happens from here, and that releases Lavis and Holgerson into the wild. Interesting to note, Merritt, Hewitt, Knight, Adam Lavis, Paul Rogers and Pete Matts in the top 6 yet to stop. So too Alan Holgerson, Tristan Kosh yet to stop. Simon Cox in and out in 6.67 seconds to continue on. John Merritt, the leader of the race. Trent Lavis, the fastest lap, 1:24.823. And John Merritt, hot lap.
Just clipping
on the ragged edge here.
Oh, yeah. He's, I love the way that iRacing does that. You get close to that wall and you just get a little set of sparks and cloud of concrete dust. Hopefully the Bunnings and the rest of them won't ban concrete dust as they have with the manufactured stone, which isn't a bad thing, mind you. but there's plenty of it around this track. So Trent Lavis now up to 7th place. He got that pit stop done and dusted whilst we're talking of dust, well and truly early. Paul Rogers just coming into the pits now. So Trent climbing onto the back of Pete Matson in that wonderful Orbic Lizard vehicle. As always, big thanks to Pete and the Orbic organisation for their sponsorship of the GT4s on a Wednesday night, isn't it?
No, GT. Yeah. Sorry, you're right. I'm still getting used to GT4 being on a Wednesday night. You are right. It used to be religiously, notoriously on a Monday night. Now it's just weird having it on a Wednesday night, I must say.
It is.
Pete Matson sitting there in 5th place, and especially when you got GT3 on a Monday and GT1 on a Tuesday, just trying to keep tab of where's where and in what order.
Indeed.
Matson holding off his teammate Trent Lavis at the moment, but for how long? Have a look at Lavis all over the back of Matson. Lavis will have a look down on the inside, and Pete down to turn 7. Job done on the inside. Lavis slips by. Slots into 6th or 5th place now, and Pete slips back to 6th.
Zach, do you think it's
Lavis has stopped. The top 4 haven't, nor have Matson and Holgerson, Grant.
No, do you think it's too soon to start the conjecture for season 1, which will be 16, won't it? 24.
Season 16, yeah. It will be. That's right.
What would you like to see? What do you think it could do with a bit of a freshen up and maybe a bit of a rest?
Indeed, they could.
What are your thoughts? What do you want to see? You want to see main course V's? I expect.
Absolutely. In fact, I'd have V's in a prime time slot, not as the main course on a Thursday as the entree to the dessert, but I would have it as prime time, top billing, 3 races. Let them have at it. Only because I love my V, so I'm a little bit biased. I think those American Open wheelers might get a bit more prominence next season, Grant, given the news that's been filtering through gaming parlance the last few days. Look, to be honest with you, I think there's something to be said about if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think GT4 and GT3 can stay where they are. But whether the supercars and Porsches stay, I'm not sure. And then obviously, do we need an entree on a Friday night again to complement those American Open wheelers? Do we need more enduro events throughout the season on a Sunday afternoon? Do we need a different type of enduro series? There's so many different ways in which we could explore that topic of discussion and conversation, mate. But I think from what I've heard, the Radicals have been well received, but they do drop off after a little bit of time, so maybe, have them every second season per se. I think the up-and-comers needs to stay because that's been an integral backbone of the club from the outset. It's been like a cornerstone, a mainstay. What does that leave us with? But the other obvious question we have, the other obvious issue we have, mate, is if we part company with either the Porsche or the supercar, remembering that the Porsche numbers have been a little bit stale and a little bit, disappointing, for lack of better words. What do you replace it with? And that's always the problem we've got. Would a Toyota 86 series work again as a mainstay category? What is there an avenue for more open wheelers potentially?
Do we end up with a MX-5 if the rain comes?
Potentially, absolutely, and I guess what else is there? I mean, there's a lot of talk around in endurance racing, sports car racing at the moment. Are there sports cars that we could have a look at that we're not having a look at? But we've got to go with what's popular, and we've got to go with what the club members want as well. So it's a difficult juggling act. I don't envy Joe Baldwin or anybody else that has to have those conversations over the course of summer to determine what we go with. But I think GT3 will stay. I think GT4 will stay. I think they're guaranteed. I would obviously love to see Formula V stay. Is there, on the back of the TCR World Rounds, does that revive interest in TCR? Do we bring TCR back? All these questions will soon be answered. All those conversations are soon to be had. But personally, I've got a lot of love for TCR. And I'm not just saying that because I have friends that are directly linked with the category. You may have seen some news there last week that a friend of mine's taken over as the category manager of the series. But in saying that, I quite like the spectacle. I quite like the racing they provide and what they bring to the table. I think where Australia needs a few more bums in seats and a few more cars on the grid and a bit more manufacturer diversity. We had a great start with TCR in the initial season, 2019, and then obviously COVID happened, so that was 2 compromised years, and now it's still somewhat trying to get back to its feet again. But I think the way in which the World Series came to town and reinvented the wheel with it will generate some good interest and publicity, and that will hopefully entice people to come and have a crack at it. There's many issues with Australian motorsport that we can pick apart at another point in time. But the same thing for iRacing. If we're going to have TCR, we've got to do it right. So we need a couple more manufacturers on the grid. We need a couple more cars there. And then obviously track selection is going to be the next talking point, obviously, Grant. Once we work out what categories we're going to have, what tracks are we going to go racing on? I know Portimao's on the way. I know we know Magello's on the way, and I'm hugely excited about that. So there's some really good tracks coming and hopefully some good racing as well. You'll never please everybody, though.
No,
I can guarantee you that.
Did a pretty good job
never please everybody.
This time out. It was fantastically received when we had to split up the Super 2s. Just want to mention Trent Lavis had set the fastest lap of the race a few moments ago. He's travelling in 5th place, coming up towards the back of his brother who's yet to stop. So Trent Lavis on an absolute charge. We know he was out in the lead until that unfortunate moment that he had. John Merritt now 7.5 seconds out in front of Wayne Hewitt, the growling Corvette CR6, and very nice livery on that as well. I've got to say the black and the green always goes well. It's a touch of the Nvidias or what have you. But certainly into the pits he comes, Wayne Hewitt. He's chosen this moment 17.5 minutes into 35, and if I'm any sort of a mathematician, and maths isn't my strong suite, check that one off, folks. It's
that's mine.
It's
yeah, no, that's right.
not Zach's.
Yeah.
That's exactly half a race.
That is. Yep. And we've got we're on to lap 13, and you get to see Merritt transit the lane either. So yeah, half race distance, lap 13. So I mean, with Merritt already halfway around lap 14, lap 13, there's a fair chance that we'll get to 25 comfortably, and there's a case to be made about whether we get to 26 or not here as well. So we're on lap 13 at the moment. If I was hedging the bets, I'd say that Merritt will comfortably get us to 25, but it will be the transit time that determines, and the pit stop time that determines whether we get to 26 or not. And it's interesting too, because the pit stops have been relatively short, Grant, only 4, 5, 6 seconds per stop so far. Top 3 yet to stop. Big turn down the inside from Trent Lavis. Oh, he did well to pull it up. That was Trent on Adam. Nice move.
Coordinated.
The 2 siblings. Have a look at that. And then Wayne Hewitt further back under pressure from Pete Matson, who's yet to stop. And the only one other than those mentioned above yet to stop yet. So Lavis, that's Adam, Jared Knight, John Merritt, Pete Matson, Alan Holgerson, and Tristan Koch yet to stop.
Adam, Trent is faster than you. Let him by. He's on a different strategy. And finds himself very comfortably in 3rd spot, only 9.7 seconds behind Jared Knight, but whopping 21, 22 behind John Merritt. Oh, another touch of the wall. You go as close as you dare through there. Wind it up. Down that back straight. Big hard braking section into the bus stop. I'm surprised they don't just call this 1 corner or 12 as they go through here, as they want to do. Don't know who does the Pulse liveries, but they certainly keep them busy with the number of cars they compete in.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I don't envy them because you 9 times out of 10 see a pulse entry across any race that we broadcast. So they would be kept fairly busy. But it's a distinct livery, isn't it? It's got a lot of yellow on it, a nice bit of red, nice tinge touch of red there for the Toyota logo to sit on just quietly and proudly. And John Merritt doing a nice job of flying the flag for the Pulse team at the moment. The GT1s, the Civil War. Merritt leading in the canter at the moment. 12 seconds to Jared Knight. Trent Lavis is third. Adam Lavis, Wayne Hewitt, Pete Matson make up the top 6. The field not quite cleansed yet. We've had 2 retirements. We've lost Aidan Schultz and Robert McGrath. We're on lap 15 on the streets of Detroit. We're 20 minutes into 35 minutes of racing. And it's Zach Cabin and Grant Gill with you on a Tuesday night, rather, I should say. Yeah, I was going to say, hang on a sec. I'm so used to being with you on a Thursday night, right? No, we were talking earlier about, yeah, that's right. We were talking about other categories and whatnot there a short while ago. Massive shot, massive crash. Holgerson and Rogers is going nowhere but the garage, I would imagine. Have a look at this again. This is the main straight. This is turn 1. Rogers down the inside. Oh, no.
Oh.
Bang. Up and over and
He
gone.
finally came down to earth. There he is. My goodness me.
Up comes the old Brekkie. Wow. Have a look at this again. Can we have a look at that again from Rogers' angle? So this is Holgerson. Rogers down the inside. Rogers is going to get squirrely there. They've locked wheels and then bang. Rogers has gone across. Oh, wow. Trying to cover off Holgerson, but hasn't cleared him. And contact ensued and hard left into concrete and gone. Rogers on the tow rope in pit lane. And Holgerson heading back there to get a fast repair because he hasn't stopped yet. So Holgerson will actually complete his first pit stop. If he wasn't already coming to pit lane for the splash and dash, he's coming there for a fast repair now.
I wouldn't be surprised to see race control call that a racing incident. They were very, very close. It wasn't as though either of them did anything too catastrophic. There's plenty of room on the outside of Holgerson, I think, but he was entitled to hold his ground. And it was just that very, very slight overlap. There may have even been some of the dreaded word I hate to say, but netcode might have reared its ugly head in there.
Quite possibly. That's a fair point.
So Trent Lavis is on a charge. I noticed John Merritt was doing a little bit of fuel saving at the end of the main straight. He was dropping the clutch in and just sipping a little bit more frugally from the fuel tank, but that gap has come down in the last 3 or 4 laps by about 3 seconds. So let's have a look at last lap times. I think we can do that here. Merritt did a 1:27 flat this time round. Trent Lavis is travelling in the high 1:24s. So, and Merritt, of course, still has to stop unless he thinks he can get home with some fuel saving. So Jared
That's
Knight,
a fair call.
Jared Knight, John Merritt, 1:27 last time round. Jared Knight, 1:25.7. And Trent Lavis, 1:25 flat. So 2 seconds for Trent and 1.3, 1.2 for Jared Knight. Jared Knight has not stopped either.
No, he hasn't. This is a very long run, very long stint for John Merritt. Deep into the race. We're 2/3 of the way there now. 2/3 race distance. And Merritt yet to come to pit lane. Remembering that by the time we get, when we look at this race, divvy it up into 5-minute intervals, that's 7 5s are 35. So we're 5/7 of the way there once we get to the 25-minute marker. Trent Lavis sitting in 3rd at the moment. Is he good to get to the checkered flag? We're going to get a better indication of that when we know where John Merritt's pitting. We suspect we're getting to 25 laps, maybe 26. Merritt's still 10.5 minutes away from the checkered flag. It's just started lap number 18. Lavis is about to do that. Jared Knight having a rather lonely run in 2nd. a
But
very,
you can
very
see
lonely
he's
run.
taking 1.3 seconds out of John per lap. And you can see Trent there to 1.9, 1.6, absolutely barreling along. Jared Knight is up 6 places, John Merritt's up 1, and Trent is currently down 2, but I don't think that's going to be the case for very much longer. So there's a gap
Jared
between
Knight.
Knight and Lavis. You can see that's diminishing.
Absolutely it is. He had a great run last night, Jared Knight. But, well, the other problem he's got, Grant, is that he hasn't stopped and Trent has. Trent's good to go to the checkered flag. Knight, he's not. John Merritt coming round to complete lap 18. Knight following. Margin 8.5 between first and second, or 8.25. Here comes Merritt around 13 into 14. Across the line will go this time round. He's not looking at pit lane just yet. He's going to continue on. There's 18 in the book. By our count, 7 to go. Maybe 8 if he can squeeze it in. Remembering we got 13. We were on lap 13 when we ticked over 17 and a half minutes.
Yeah, big clutch right from there. He's
there it is.
saving
Just
fuel.
a little bit of fuel saving
Big
going
time.
on.
Yeah.
Well, can you still clutch in these cars and save fuel? I mean, they removed that capacity in the GT3s, didn't they, and the Porsches as well. So
I think it still does to some extent because the revs drop to 0 or near to it. But whereas opposed if you just lift and coast, it maintains revs, but you don't know how iRacing deals. Big clutch. Don't know how iRacing deals with coasting. And if Matty Dench's doing it, I reckon there might be something to it.
true.
It's like he's driving a bus round there. Very, very demure. Gap coming down. It's down to 8 seconds. It was 12 not so long ago. Kosh has come into... is that Kosh? Yes, he's come into the pits.
Yep.
Matto's been in and out.
Holgerson yet to stop. Surprisingly, with the damage sustained in that incident earlier in the piece with Paul Rogers, who has parked up and retired for the night. Interesting that Holgerson's been able to limp on. He's one of 4 cars yet to stop. Adam Lavis, Jared Knight, John Merritt being the other 3. We're on the run home to the checkered flag on the streets of Detroit, lap 20. No sign of anyone coming to pit lane that time around. Adam Lavis continues on, so they're all going long. 3 of them on to lap 20 of their opening stint. Here's John Merritt doing a nice job of it, controlling the race at the front of the field. 7.5 seconds to Jared Knight, who is coming under pressure ever so increasingly from Trent Lavis, who's only 6 seconds down the road. But if those two have to stop, that brings Lavis right back into the mix here. Only 13 seconds behind John Merritt. We know the pit lane transit's longer than that.
Yeah, regardless of how short a time he stops for.
Exactly.
Stop and get going.
Yeah. By the time you slowed down to hit the pit limiter, to not get done for speeding, all that.
Yeah.
So many different factors.
So you can see
Round they come again.
Trent's 1.2 out of Knight last time round. Only half a second the lap before, and Knight did his fastest lap of the race on lap 17. But Trent still took 3/4 of a second out of him. So he is on a charge. It's just yet to be seen whether the other guys have to stop or if they can eke it out to the end.
10:15 Eastern Daylight Time, heading towards the end of the GT1 Civil War here on the streets of Detroit. 6 minutes to go. Stay with us post-race. We'll hear from a couple of these drivers, no doubt, at the end of the road. But it's one-way traffic at the moment. John Merritt on the lap 21. Continuing on, Knight is now only 4.8 clear of Trent Lavis. And Lavis punching out Hollywood numbers. 24.7 played a 25.8 for Knight and a 26.5 for Merritt. So that tells you there's a bit of fuel saving going on here, unless your name is T. Lavis. Here they come. Have a look at him. Lobesy Racing doing gangbusters here. And could secure a podium finish in the process. if not a W.
Yeah,
The game changes totally if these guys come to pit lane or have to come to pit lane, Grant.
Yeah, he's got the podium at the moment, so long as he keeps it straight. And it hasn't looked like he's. And sorry, Trent, this is probably. He was praising me for my generosity earlier, but it hasn't looked like he's going to put a foot wrong. And this gap is just coming down hand over fist. Look at that, 6 seconds last lap round, and it'll be somewhere in the vicinity of 4 this time round. Millimetre perfect as he comes right up against the wall.
Yep. Not putting a foot wrong here at the moment is T. Lavis.
If we use
after that early intro on lap 3, and I don't want to put the marker on him. Whoa, have a look at that, riding the curb through turn 2.
If we use the
Jared Knight is in view.
If we use the crass American Formula One Las Vegas measurement, was that super close at 6 centimetres, or was it super close at 2 centimetres? The bloody Wallies.
Uncomfortably close at 2 centimetres, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't the only thing wrong with Vegas. Don't worry about that. The race made up for it, thankfully, but the rest of it, fair income.
3 seconds, 3.7 now.
2 over the top. 4 minutes to go. 3 laps at the line for John Merritt. So we're only going to get to 25. You can forget about 26. Trent Lavis throws it into turn 7. He's only 3.2 away from 90. I think Merritt's a bridge too far, but 90's certainly gettable. 90 is certainly gettable. Lap 22 for John Merritt. Is this the lap in which he comes to pit lane, or will he continue on? Let's wait and see. Merritt's going for it. John Merritt's going for it. Lap 22 is done. 3 to go. And he's only going to get back to the line with about half a minute on the clock. So he's going to start, that's what? So 125 a lap is 250, and he crossed the line at 31.40. So yeah, 34 and a half minutes is when he's going to come back to the line to start the white flag lap. Sure, it's hanging on a thread here at the moment.
If he had a better gap, I'm sure he'd like to slow it down a bit and not do the extra lap, but it's probably too close according to your numbers there. Not that maths is your strong point.
Not at all. I've been saying it all my life. Maths was never meant to be my strong point. And never will be. It will never be my strong point. Talking underwater with a mouthful of marbles, different story. 124.727 is the fastest lap of the race for Trent Lavis. He's 2.3 away from 90. We've got this and 2 to go. 90 having a little bit of Blinky Bill action going on there. Through they come again.
Oh, a little wiggle from him there as well. Look at that gap come down. He just had another look in his rear vision mirror, I reckon. That's 1.9. Just on the 2 seconds. As you said, we're coming up to 2 minutes to go. There, and John Merritt's only 5.4 seconds up the road. Across the line he goes.
2 laps to go. Can he get home without stopping? That time around was a 126.8, so 1.8 seconds slower. That time around than his fastest of the night, John Merritt. Jared Knight is only 1.7 up the road from Trent Lavis. Watch that battle for second, Grant. It's on. Lavis is within an earshot a second here. Adam Lavis is under pressure from Wayne Hewitt, and Adam Lavis will also be on a fuel save here. So too Arne Holgerson by the look of it. We've got 4 of them trying to get through on no stops.
Gap 1.4. 1.3. Where's Trent making his time? Right around the track, I think. I don't think there's any particular one place. Look, he took 2/10 out of him into that corner there. Now it's in a second. He's got DRS. Not really, but he's within a second. So I think we can dispense with that number. 4.4 to Merritt up the road.
Last lap, white flag flies in Detroit, and Merritt's on the run home. Merritt's on the run home. Knight's holding off Lavis. 0.9 of a second. Nothing in this. Lavis will throw everything at it.
Oh.
Last time around it. Whoa! Big moment. Big slide. That helped Jared Knight out immensely. It was 0.9 of a second. It's now out to 1.2, 1.1, 0.9. Trent Lavis is going to throw everything at this. Not going to leave anything on the table here. Adam Lavis punches out his best lap of the night thus far. 126.461. Keeping Wayne Hewitt at bay. Difficult to overtake in these cars on this circuit. John Merritt at the front. Half a lap from home.
Has he done enough? 4.7. Looks like he might have. Oh, and look at Lavis all over him. He's very quick into that section of the track. What's he got
Lavis
left?
will have a crack into 14, I think, or 13.
Oh,
Watch
it goes
this.
wide there.
Knight's defending. Knight's defending. He knows he's in all sorts of trouble here. But time might get the better of Lavis here. Last turn, checkered flag. John Merritt's going to get the job done on the streets of Detroit, Michigan. Well played. Hot Lap's got the job done. Knight will do enough to hold off Lavis. No stop the strategy to have tonight. Two of them make it work for a podium finish. Trent third, and Adam Lavis will come home fourth, or will he? Can he hold off Wayne Hewitt? I think he can. Adam Lavis gets the job done. Another Merit Masterclass, and Grant, I have to say, Trent will rue that mistake in the early stages on lap 3.
Yes, he will. Nice work from the boys. That was 23 seconds between the two Lavis brothers, so that's how fast old Trento was. And with Adam saving fuel as he went. Rob Hill, hardly mentioned him tonight. He's done a good job. Comes home in 6th, up to 3 spots, and Simon Cox after, was it three runs through pit lane? Or he certainly started behind, in pit lane, then had another 2 trips through, so...
No. That first trip actually counted as one. So it was just one trip, and it was on lap 6, and it was 7th home in the end for Coxie. Alan Holgerson made it work on no stops as well, despite a big cloud of the wall, the concrete there at the end of lap. I want to say it was the same lap that Paul Rogers parked up, so it was the end of lap 15, the start of lap 16. That was the only big incident of the night, wasn't it? There was a bit of argy-bargy early in the piece that put pay to Aidan Schultz and Robert McGrath, but the rest of the night, fairly clean apart from that incident between Rogers and Holgerson. In the end, John Merritt getting the job done in extraordinary fashion. 5 seconds to winning margin, half a second between Knight and Lobesy. So... we've got all 3 of those gentlemen joining us in the commentary box now, plus the 4th placed Adam Lavis as well. Geez, they were prompt and punctual off the mark here, these boys. Have a look at this.
Maybe they know we're going to cut short the post-race show, so they wanted to get their 2 bit in.
The memo was put out that if no one showed up in about 2 minutes, Grant and I were going to sign off and POQ. In saying that, let's get stuck into this. Trent, that was a chance gone begging, my friend. You had a chance to win it, and unfortunately, you had to transit the lane at the end of lap 3, and that was where the race was won and lost for you.
Yeah, that was my own darn fault, that one. But he came down the back straight there and missed the brake marker by about 100 metres, and like, this ain't going to happen. So, and I'm backing it in down there all on my lonesome, and yeah. But
right on the join of the asphalt to the change of conditions there as well.
It almost made it look like it meant it there. But tried to flick it around to get it turned around, but unfortunately, it gave me too much damage to keep on. So I had to pit to fix the back left. But from there, I topped up the tanks a little bit as well, and hammered down, and almost got back there with the boys saving at the front.
Almost did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You gave a good chase. I reckon one more lap is all you needed, mate.
Yeah, Nighty was picking up his pace towards the end there, and I'm pretty sure he would have been pretty marginal on fuel, running around like that. But no, he had me covered. As soon as I got into the aero wash, I just had no chance. No, really good fun coming back through, that's for sure.
I was going to say, you made comments whilst we're talking to you during the up-and-comers, just how difficult these things were going to be tonight. Did the degree of difficulty change as the night went on, as you got more acclimatised?
Got more difficult towards the end because I'm covered in sweat and was getting in my eyeballs having to wipe my eyes all the time. So it's pretty hard work muscling these things around here. If you've got the first force feedback turned up properly, it's definitely a good wrist burner.
Grant, I think that paints a picture that we didn't need painted at this point of the evening.
Yes. Can't unsee it, can you?
No, Trent, stay with me. I'm coming back to you in just a moment. Let's bring the other blokes in. Let's have a quick chat to John Merritt firstly. Championship defining round there, mate. You've put one hand on it essentially with the
trophy
Cox finishing down in. Yes, thank you, Grant. The innuendo's been littered right throughout the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. John, well done, mate. You finished first. You had I think it was 30 points on Simon coming into the round. He's finished down in 7th, so it's looking good.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I didn't know. I don't think I raced last week, so I wasn't sure how the championship looked, to be honest. But I saw Trent getting a bit of a wrist burner at the bottom of the straight there, and it was probably lucky because it sort of forced me to look at the fuel numbers, and I went, oh, this could be a fuel save race. So sadly, we didn't get to go at it, but it was probably the safer option around the Concrete Canyon.
Did you have much left at the end of the race, John?
Yeah, I coughed as I went across the line.
So had he been that little bit closer, you didn't have much to fight with?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Depending if it happened a lap earlier and he filled the tank, probably Trent would have got to us, I would say. But it was going to be. I still think it was probably marginal whether he did the fuel save or pitted, and I thought it was possible, so sort of started to do that.
Nicely managed for sure. We could hear you clutching in at every opportunity. A long way out it seemed to me, but you did it well.
Yeah, no, it was good. It would have been good to be a non-fuel race and just to go at it, but no, it was a good race. I thought I don't know what Jared's done. He must have an extra 5-litre tank somewhere under the seat there. He was sort of coming a little bit at the end.
Now, I was going to say, John, that was a nice performance, and obviously you kept the pace up early in the piece. 1:25.086 was your fastest time. You finished with the 25.9, but at times there you were another second slower than that. So it had to be a well-managed race to make the fuel save work, and just how early. Did you go from all-out attack to a little bit of clutching and coasting?
Oh, I think it was probably in the lap after Trent spun just about, and It wasn't an all-out save initially. It was just sort of measuring it to see how much you had to save, and I think it was probably around a second a lap, 1.1 a lap, roughly, that you sort of gave away in lap speed. And
obviously with 90 up to the same tricks by the sounds of it, you were able to keep him at bay easily enough as well. Were you worried about where Coxie was in any of that, thinking about the championship, or were you just running it as thinking about this race as a standalone fixture and worrying about the championship after the fact?
Oh, just this race, Zach. You know me pretty well. Just get the score on the board this race, and the rest takes care of itself. I think the minute you start sort of worrying too much about it, you make mistakes.
That's very, very true. So we know that you were getting home on the smell of an oily rag. What about tyre wear? Anything of note there?
Oh, I didn't check, but mate, the car is pretty consistent. I haven't taken tyres in any of the rounds thus far all through the season, so certainly in the slow speed stuff you can start to get a little bit of wheel spin, but I mean you can do that on fresh tyres with this car too. So I find that they sort of last the length of the races we've been doing.
Although we up the stakes in a couple of weeks' time. You get a week off next Tuesday night with the up-and-comers taking centre stage. Grand finale for you guys will be the week after, which will be Tuesday, December 5. Good luck getting me around that night, because that's the day I'm driving back to Cessnock at this stage. Can't get out of Queensland quick enough at this time of the year, as you know, John. But the Daytona International Road Course in 95 minutes, mate, that'll be a fair workout.
I'll almost be light in sunny Echuca, Zach, I reckon. But
Exactly.
yeah, no, it will be a workout, as Trent alluded. I don't know about the sweating eyeballs, but mate, they are a workout on the force feedback for sure. These things.
And as far as a car is concerned, I mean, draw me some comparisons between this and the GT3, and which you might enjoy driving more.
Oh, mate, I really enjoy this. It's just a little bit more analog, a little bit less on the assist front, or at least it feels that way. So, and the other advantage, you know, we go in there with a medium fixed set, and we've all got the same thing, and you don't have to do, 500 laps to test setup. So, to me, that's a win.
Yeah, and then only to just change your setup at the last moment and make it much worse. Seems to be what happens to me. Yeah.
Realise the track state's differing and go one way and go the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. Then suffer the whole rest of the race.
But no, really love these cars. So would love to see them in another series again in the next season.
But what are you going to do to try to entice more people onto the grid here, though, John? I mean, that was a field of 13 tonight, and it is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, it was. And look, I think the turnout was a little bit better in the first couple of rounds, and a couple of people probably found they were a bit difficult. It's a little bit like the Radical, and then I think probably the late race, without our Western Australians coming in, the fields have been a little bit lackluster, but I think it's just the time of the night as well. Like a couple of hours, it's too late. So maybe a little bit earlier in the night. Apart from broadcasting, I think we could probably run at the same time potentially, depending on race controllers, say up and comers or something else.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there wasn't too much by the way of crossover tonight in entries. I think Aidan Schultz and Tristan Koch, and that was it. To be fair, interesting to get your thoughts on that, John. And of course, looking forward to catching up with you a little bit later on in the week with some Formula V, and next week with some GT3 action as well.
Yeah, sadly, I can't make the Vs. I'm travelling, but
and that would have been right here too, John.
I know, and a good track for it. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome battles. Yeah, we have, haven't we? So no, sad I can't make it, but have another crack the week after.
However, in saying that, can I actually just get you to stick around for 30 seconds here and talk to me about last night, because you didn't make an appearance in the post-race show, but I do want to pick your brain on the fact that you transitioned very quickly in the space of a week from the McLaren to the Ferrari. What'd you make of it, please?
Yeah, it's probably it's definitely the car of choice this season, as so often when they bring a new car. It's made it turns, it just does everything. Sadly, teammate Luke and I had a bit of a rough sort of race too, but we certainly couldn't have beat Matty, but the pace was there in that car, and next to the Macca, I'm just saying bring the new McLaren, and then we'll go again.
Well, they got the new Audi coming next season, haven't they? And talking about updating the GT3 field, but the poor old McLaren hasn't had much love for a long time.
Nah, the Marshmallow Machine's still pretty good, but comparison, I think fuel burn wise, they trimmed that up. I'm pretty confident that the Audi will be the car to run next season, though.
From all history, the Audi's been very much on the edge, hasn't it? So if they come out with a comfortable car, or slightly less uncomfortable, perhaps, you might well be right.
Grant also was asking the question earlier in the broadcast, John, who's responsible at Pulse Tuning for developing the striking livery and applying it to all the different race cars that you lot run throughout the course of the season? Because everywhere we go, there seems to be a Pulse Tuning car on the grid, and I'm sure there's a lot of TLC and time and effort spent behind the scenes to make the cars look as pretty as they do. Yeah,
we have to thank Mr. Pulse himself, Glen Riddell. He's the mastermind behind the paintbrush.
And it was nice to see Cito actually on the grid last week there for a period of time, albeit too briefly. but good to see him back in the rig at some point. And nice to catch up with you as well, mate. We're trying to keep this nice and tight to get Grant out of here and me too. So go well. Well done tonight. Great W. And good luck with the championship finale in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
Cheers, John.
Will be nice to see him back on the top of a summit. He hasn't been on the top of a championship summit in a GT category for a while, thanks to the dominance of one M. Dench. So John Merritt within an earshot of grabbing a GT1 crown in a couple of weeks' time. Trent Lavis, interesting experience, obviously, as a once-off for you. 95 minutes around Daytona in a couple of weeks. Is that something that entices you?
Possibly. It depends on, obviously, my scheduling and stuff with work and so on. But if I ever get the opportunity to jump in, you know me, mate, I'll come and have a crack.
Very nicely done. And as far as the rest of your commitments are concerned, how much of a mentor role have you taken on with the up-and-comers this season as the series sponsor? And what do you think will unfold when we get to Road America next week? 3 cars, 30-minute races, so a little bit of car swapping mid-server, different disciplines. It's going to keep those guys on their toes.
Yeah, mate, it's a fantastic format, and the ability to adapt, I guess, is probably one of the stalwarts of the up-and-comers series to get people that are new to the sim or new to the Gentleman's Club, a bit more experience with all different facets, which will definitely help them in the long run in whatever they jump into. So, I try and jump in as many different cars as I can, just to, do something different and learn new techniques that you can apply to other cars. That's the benefit of it. But on the mentoring front, I haven't actually been able to do as much as I'd like. I actually got to jump in last week and look after the guys, which was fantastic, and catch up with them, which was awesome. But tonight, unfortunately, I was a bit late to jump in, but glad I got to jump into the GT1s and have a seat as well.
Very nicely done. All right, mate. Well done tonight. And good hustle, good fight back. I believe you clocked the fastest lap of the race along the way, so there's a bonus point that you've got added to the list in there. And we look forward to seeing you on track again soon. And obviously, we'll follow the progress of the S15 and whatever comes next in the real world as well, because we believe you sold the little hot hatchback, didn't you?
Yeah, sold it a little while back, a little Bumblebee. So I've just got the S15 again, but it's coming back off the road again potentially shortly. So going to be on to bigger and better things, plus focusing on some career stuff as well. So I might not be racing as much as I'd like to, but definitely looking to do a couple of our usual street sprints and hill climbs next year and book them in, have some fun.
All right, very nicely done. Thanks, mate. Great to have your insights and your analysis right throughout the course of the night, and we look forward to catching up soon.
Cheers, gents.
Evening.
Jared Knight, welcome into you. 2 nights on the trot, 2 podium finishes, and it looked fairly lonely there for the longest part of 35 minutes, but Trent Lavis gave you a hurry up at the end. How slim was the fuel tank as far as fuel in the tank was concerned when you crossed the line, please?
A bit like John as well, mate. I coughed about 100 metres before the line, so timed it to perfection.
Yeah, perfection indeed. Side run, mate, clean run, and you can't ask for much more than that around here.
Yeah, well, considering this is my first ever race in a GT1 car, so so boring and out of everyone's way was very good. So knew I wasn't going to have the pace, but felt like I was probably going to get a little bit more comfortable with the car as the race went on. So the fuel save started very early.
What do you make of these cars, given your first impression of them? As you said, you haven't, I believe that was what you said, that you were having your first run tonight. So they're a bit of a step up from the GT3.
Yeah, kind of felt like I was driving it a bit like the 992 a little bit, just very easy on the throttle application and a bit lighter on the brake. Obviously, can't munch the brake like a GT3 car. So just sort of nursed it, and it was more the track that whet my appetite to just jump in and have a run, and it was a good result in the end.
Very good
It
result.
certainly was, and, especially considering the playground. I mean, a couple of hairy moments along the way here, and concrete is ready to bite you, mate.
Yeah, made a handful of mistakes. It's just I don't know, the downforce setup is a little bit foreign to me. So it was sort of losing the rear in sort of the slow speed corners a little bit, but yeah, majority of the race was nice and clean.
Grant, anything for Jared while we've got him?
I don't think so. We've kind of covered that off. We did see a couple of your little wiggles and your squirms as you went around, so we didn't miss that entirely. But
No.
it's a fairly, would you call it a fairly predictable car? It does what you don't get too many surprises out of it, apart from that little bit of extra squirm from the rear.
Yeah, the front end's delightful. The front does exactly what you want it to do. But yeah, I think the rear wiggles were probably a little bit just getting used to the gearing as well. I think there's probably a few were caused by a bit of compression locking. So, but yeah, like I said, yeah, first ever run in one of these cars. So to not be facing the other direction or upside down or whatnot was a good result.
Is it a car that you can see yourself spending more time behind the wheel of, Nighty?
Not too sure. 95 minutes around Daytona sounds like a bit of a stretch. That John and Trent were. It's a real work on the wrists and the arms with the force feedback to keep these things straight. So yeah, I don't know. We might make a couple of cameo appearances if they come back next season.
Good to hear.
Very nicely done, Noddy. Thoughts on Thursday night, and then obviously we got next Monday night to look forward to as well. But obviously, it's this point of the season where everybody starts thinking about next year and what they might do and how they might spend the off season as well, mate.
Yeah, well, somehow I'm within an earshot of P3 and GT4s as well. So so I'm going for a hat trick of thirds in championships over the next week and a half. So we'll see how we go there. But yeah, then we'll see what we do over the Christmas break. We'll probably just do a bit of testing in this new Audi when the season arrives. And like John said, no doubt that'll be the car of choice. You'll probably see that flood the grid in the GT3s next season.
And
very nice mate.
Would you be interested if rain does come and it's in the MX-5 and we run? I have no idea, and I'm not part of the committee, but if there was an MX-5 series that sometimes had rain, would that tickle your fancy and have you lining up?
Well, we know the anticipation for the rain to come, and I absolutely adore the MX-5. I reckon it's a great little car. So, yeah, MX-5s and chuck a bit of wetness on the track. Yeah, I'll be there.
Sounds good. If that all does come to fruition, I think that would be a compelling series, and we might have to get your mate back, Zach. Get him out of the cupboard, get him into rehab, and get him back to race controlling the MX-5s.
I agree. I'll definitely broach that topic with Nick when I see him on the 9th of December at Sydney Motorsport Park, and I'll tell him that you send your regards with it, Grant.
Absolutely.
So, that'll be great. Nighty, we'll leave it there, mate. Thank you. Go well in the GT4s. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, see you Thursday, Zach. Thanks, mate.
Good on you. I'm not sure if these are relevant, Zach. I think they are. I think Adam
all right, let's have a look.
About.
Yeah.
But it looks different to what we had this afternoon.
You're going to have to read through them for me because it's all grainy at my end.
All right. John Merritt on 412. And then Simon Cox 354, so it's at 58 points.
Jeez, that's 68 points now. Yep.
Yeah. Rob Hill in third place on 330, so 24.
Sorry, 58.
Yeah, 24 behind Simon. Wayne Hewitt representing the only Corvette in the series, I think, on 309, tied with Adam Lavis for 4th place, also on 309. Then Paul Rogers 268. Yep, and Peter Matson 249, Tristan
249.
Koch 229, Alan Holgerson 208, and Nick Fodiatis 145.
So Merritt's got that very much within his grasp, provided he just finishes really at the Daytona International Speedway in a couple of weeks' time. Adam Lavis is here in the broadcast with us as well, so we may as well pick his brain for a moment on what he thought of all of that, because he is sitting equal 4th in the championship now with Wayne Hewitt, and the fact that he got the better of Wayne by 0.61 of a second tonight helped him achieve that. Good evening to you, Adam. Well done. Solid hit out of here, gained a position along the way. Pesky Trent came back through and made light work of you as he was charging towards 90, and John Merritt, after a mistake early in the race, is 4th, the best you could have hoped for tonight?
Well, light work's interesting choice of words, given I said go to the right, then you almost bombed us both off the track.
So that answers Grant's question that it was tactical. It was.
Well, yeah, I said go by, then he broke himself. I'm like, what are you doing, mate?
Oh, brilliant! I love it. That's fantastic.
Sorry, I locked the wheel.
Yeah. Once we got through the initial stages, mate, there was a fair bit going on in the opening couple of laps, but once the field spread out, it was fairly cruisy going.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of quick reactions and dodgings and a couple of little wall taps here and now. There's a couple I was like wondering if my car was still good. And I'm like, well, it feels straight, so we'll keep going. But yeah, it was a bit of a hectic start there with guys forgetting about the cold tyre situation after doing a few longer runs in the quali session. So caught a couple of guys out. But I think it was. I thought because I was saving fuel the whole time there. And I must have saved way too much fuel because Johnny said he coughed at the line and Jared said he coughed just before the line, and I coughed going through turn 1. So obviously I saved way too much fuel getting about those two,
really?
which is obviously why I was 30 seconds behind.
Clearly.
So yeah, that's clearly the reason. But yeah, on that, it's very tricky. I enjoy Belle Isle, but like given the danger factor, I'm always a little on the cautious side with the walls and stuff to try and actually finish, because you got to finish first you got to finish. So I usually not the fastest person around, but I'll try and just be consistent and get a result. So, and that's what we got tonight. So it's all good.
Nice
all right, and now obviously a couple of weeks to prepare for Daytona and an extra 60 minutes on the clock, mate. As the boys have already said, that's going to be a fair workout.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can get some more in, because like we're starting the race. What is it? So it's 60 minutes longer race. So it's the service starting an hour earlier. So because obviously
8:40 Eastern Daylight Time. Yep.
Yeah, because there'd be no up and comers on before it, so we can start a bit earlier. So race still finishes at the same time, but yeah, still should be good. Hopefully we get a few people in, and have a bit of a good old semi-endurance race in these things, because they are a very fun car to drive, because they're just basically they're a very bare bones race car, so they feel very much like you're in a proper race car. There's not a whole lot of downforce, but it's still pretty mechanical grip, and you can really muscle around, and they sound awesome, and they cough and fart and spit and breathe fire, so they're a really fun car to drive. So hopefully a few more guys come in and try them out, because they won't regret it.
Well, withdrawal
Absolutely.
symptoms will be starting to set in 3 days after our last race, so people will probably be getting a bit toey for another race.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Try and get just keep nudging them, saying, "Oh, season's over, but there is this race here on Tuesday if you want to come and have a play."
Exactly. That's it. No other races for the week, but we're doing this one. Yeah, I like the idea of it. Hopefully it'll entice a few people to come and give it a crack as a cameo sort of thing. Adam, well done. GT4 tomorrow night, and then of course we get stuck into what will be a very good Thursday night with the Formula Vs and the Porsches, and another chance to get acquainted with Belle Isle and the Vs.
Oh yeah. The bell on the V's will be a bit more. It's a little bit. The track feels a lot wider in a V, so
And a lot longer.
I remember a couple of seasons ago when we did V's into supercars. I can't remember. I can't remember what night it was, but yeah, that was a real interesting, because we had Belle Isle for both tracks on the same night, and we go from the V's where we can't, like, where the walls are way above your head, and you're braking at the last braking marker into turn 3 and all this stuff. Then you get into the supercar, and you got to brake 200 meters before the first braking marker at turn 3, and you can see over the walls. You feel like you're in a Mack truck. It was a very different culture shock that night. So, but yeah, the V's are definitely a fun little car around here. So it'll be good. Obviously, as I said to you on Thursday, the key to that's going to be qualifying well, because you're not going to want to be buried in the pack when the shenanigans happen. You want to be out and clear. So we'll see how we go and try and get some more points on the board. Like I don't think I've got a chance at the outright, but I think I'm somewhere maybe top 5 or podium in the Formula V's for the season. So hopefully we can try and keep the trophy streak alive.
Yes, very much so. That is very much at stake next, this week and then next week as well. Go well, mate. Thank you for that. We'll catch up with you Thursday.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
And, of course, Daniel and Aidan will be here tomorrow night as well. Grant, thoughts on that? I mean, it was a little bit tame in parts, but, I mean, when you got the likes of Merritt, Knight and Lavis doing their thing at the front of the field, you can't be disappointed with watching those guys do it and do it so well. We got our value for money with them alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime you've got mixed strategies like that, forced or otherwise, it does make it interesting for us to start trying to do some numbers and figure out the lap times and how much the gap's decreasing by, and will he make it or will he have to stop? Certainly makes for an interesting script over the course of the evening, and with 13 cars, there was plenty going on. We had the, as you say, the shenanigans with some wall bashing. We had that big crash on at turn 1 mid-race,
Yes.
and then the chase down, the pursuit. So this time the breakaway stayed away, and the peloton didn't quite catch him. But no, it was a good night, I thought, and always good to see the developing drivers and the up-and-comers get a little bit of airtime, and of course a lot of airtime next week with hours and hours of them.
Yeah, 100%, about 3 hours worth of broadcast from next Tuesday night. Well done, mate. Thanks for stepping on in to hold the fort with me over the last 3 hours. We've enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to more where that came from in the next short while.
We are indeed. Of course, the Enduro coming up this weekend. We've
There
got
it is.
some broadcasts between now and then. Josh Zuino putting his hand to a little bit of the old Photoshop work there, so it's quite a captivating image. And Josh is the new coordinator for the Enduros, and he is, as most of the things he does, he's very enthusiastic about it, and got a few ideas that he wants to maybe freshen up the series and get some more bods in seats. So we look forward to seeing what he comes up with, but certainly that'll be the 4 hours of Nürburgring. Broadcast, I believe, will be about the first hour and the last hour from Sam Chapman and the inimitable Liam Banks. So plenty going on there.
Yep, absolutely. So, whilst the fields were small tonight, the entertainment was there, and the quality of racing as well. As we say, when we've got Merritt, Knight, and Lavis doing their thing, you just sit back and appreciate it. There's no doubt about that. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and tomorrow night the Downforce Legends are off to Lime Rock Park. The Orbic Australia GT4 Challenge is off to the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. So again, the week of cross-continent hopping continues. I mean, first up, it's the United States and their famed Lime Rock circuit. I'm a little bit jealous of the boys, actually, tomorrow night. They've got a good setup, a good lineup to look forward to. And it's sprint racing, the order of the day. Sprint racing across the board. 2 races for the Radicals, 2 for GT4. And, of course, the GT4 race getting underway 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So we go from North America to South America tomorrow night. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. The broadcast comes you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And it'll be Aidan Schultz and Daniel Correas with you. On Thursday night, it'll be Schultz out, Caban in, and Correas remaining as we take you back to the streets of Detroit, Belle Isle, Michigan, and, of course, the Grand Prix circuit there, the old IndyCar circuit there, of course, and 3 sprint races for Formula V.
Might want to get your last lap, Zach, set up a little bit earlier for that one. On Thursday night.
Yeah. Don't worry. I've even now got a desk tripod ready for last lap, Zach. Grant, we're upping the quality of last lap, Zach. There might be a little bit of work for you in the off season, actually, just reliving the best last lap Zach of the season. I'm going to have to get some files to you in due course, because there have been some beauties this season. It's just I've recorded them and haven't thought to send them through. So we will do that, and it'll help me clear some room on the phone as well. It's fast filling up. It's been a big year. Now, as far as the rest of it's concerned, as soon as we're done there, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time Thursday night, 3 sprint races for Formula V. That's all thanks to Sprite Insider, of course. We head to Imola again. So back to Imola. So we're doing a couple of double-ups this week. With Detroit and Imola both getting a second Guernsey, and 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the final 40-minute race of the Porsche Cup campaign. Friday night, the Open Wheelers, the road to Indy, or the road to American Open Wheel format that we shouldn't be mentioning until, next week. Circuit to Jerez, the venue, 40 laps the journey, and it'll be the moto configuration of Jerez in the IR18, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Saturday night, Mountain Men for you. Have a look at this. Mountain Men, if you don't mind. Mount Panorama Bathurst, Formula Renault 2.0s, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Saturday, November 25, 32 laps, the order of the equation there. And, of course, Sunday, the Enduro from 11:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a midday Eastern Daylight Time start, 4 hours around the Nürburgring. Monday night, grand final week is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking forward to that immensely. Monday, November 27, Mount Panorama Bathurst, 40 or 45 minutes for the Super 2 V8s.
Yeah.
Bringing that one to 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Adam Lavis, Liam Banks and I. Then on to the GT3 finale, the Pro Split from Mount Panorama Bathurst. Can Denchi make it title number 8? It's hard to see him not doing so. 90 minutes the journey there. The race getting underway at 45 Eastern Daylight Time. And, of course, Tuesday night, of course, we'll have on December 5, it'll be the grand finale for the GT1s from the Daytona International Speedway. But next week, that makes way for a triple treat, a grand finale from Road America for the up-and-comers for Lobesy Racing. And the MX-5 first up, the Toyota 86 second up, the Formula 4 third up. 3 30-minute races on the agenda there, 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. Hope you can join us for that. We do this on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, with thanks to Waste Options, Lobesy Racing, Orbic Australia, the great people at Sprite Cider in Pure Tasmania, Login Systems, M-Wave Australia, Flash Graphics, and Player One Sim Gear. Grant Gill, thank you to you, and looking forward to your company again next time round. Looking forward to your company as well, Australia. Next time we go racing on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Daniel Correa, Sarah and Aidan Schultz to steer you through Wednesday night. I'll see you Thursday night. We say goodnight to you now with a reminder, of course, if you want to get your hands on some GSRC merch just in time for Black Friday and Christmas shopping, get it over and done with out of the road, head to that website, merch.tgsrc.com or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com. Both the websites take you to the same page. Don't worry too much about that. And race.tgsrci.com will take you to everything else relevant GSRC related. All the other information that you need to join the club, renew your memberships, etc., and so forth. So do check those out. On behalf of Grant Gill, Trent Lavis, the entire GSRC broadcast commentary and production team here, Tuesday Night Motorsport, night 2 of week 9 of term 4, done and dusted. Just on the strike of 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. We look forward to doing it all again tomorrow night with Daniel Correa, Sarah and Aidan Schultz at the helm, and we'll see you Thursday night as well. On behalf of the crew, thanks for your company from the streets of Detroit, where John Merritt got the job done in the GT1 Civil War. And, of course, well done earlier to the up-and-comers for putting on a great show there at the Imola circuit in Italy. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and look forward to your company for the rest of Week 9 as this season rapidly races towards its conclusion and the checkered flag flying next week. For the team, have a great evening, everybody. I'm Zach Caban. Bye for now.